I don't know why I chose you. I don't know why I want you. Can't be the only eyes on you. Your love brings me plenty trouble. Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette. This is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath. So good to share energy with you. Come on in. Thank you for inviting me in. Let us begin. Black trouble led to troubled coffee. A black roast brought out the acidity in a blonde roast, which ended up yielding me a premium roast. In our lives, we will have relationships. It's one of our greatest teachers. My Leo 5th house self has a relish in relationships, has dove so deep into them, has lost myself a time or two. But on this end of my life, what I find myself doing when relationships are unfolding as I'm doing what my angels mandate me to do, which is, they say, we do ask you that you grow through whatever you go through. When I first heard that song, I knew I was in trouble. Afrobeats, a hypnotic chorus, melody, hook. Your love brings me plenty trouble. I'm acutely aware when I have a soulmate assignment with someone, even if they don't know. I know. It can play out however it plays out, but I know. That's something that's brought me a lot of peace actually in my life, is I never second guessed when things dissolve, they end, or conclude, because I'm very sure that I was supposed to be there. You know, a lot of people say, like, oh my goodness, this person wasted my time, or I can't believe this happened, or I'll never get these years of my life back. Well, life was for living, and you were going to live it anyway, so the time was going to elapse either way. How you spend it does matter, and we always don't want people playing in our face, but such is life, and such is the experience. What is it said? It is better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. As an earth angel, as an empath, love for me has been very win, lose, or draw. Mostly loses, and maybe a couple of draws. I have wins, but they're not the romantic, all-encompassing wins. I've had a couple. I have solid life partnership. I had a beautiful soulmate relationship with a man, a Scottish sea captain named Jan, and he was fabulous. Aquarius energy spoke beautiful life into me. And we had all of the struggles that any relationship would have. It was complex. It was May December. It was a lot of things. But I think of him so fondly. That's what I want you guys to understand about relationships, is that when you extricate yourself from them, when they're over, when they've served their purpose or taught you whatever the lesson is, it doesn't always have to be such consternation if there is communication. I have an uncanny ability to know when to exit, or to understand that an exit may be approaching, even if I don't share it with the other party. I may communicate, to be fair. My Mars in Libra dictates that I really like things to be fair, and I become incensed if they're not in fair, but not a flash pan of anger. It's a slow burn. What did Martin Luther King say? Something about the moral arc of justice. It bends towards justice. It's long, but it bends towards justice. I'm channeling the St. Louis arc. I justice happens when it comes to relationships for me, even if it doesn't feel like it's fair on my end in the beginning, or if it feels like someone bested me to whatever degree. If they were unjust, eventually, that's something that they will see. But sometimes people come in to teach you lessons, and those lessons will be taught karmically. Can't be the only eyes on you. Your love brings me plenty trouble. I want to give credence to the Earth Angel stimulus package, where when we're around people, it will increase attention and energy that they get. That doesn't mean they don't have their own pull, their own charisma, their own je ne sais quoi. But we will uplift and accelerate that to whatever degree. When I met Black Trouble, I knew, because of the pull I felt before ever meeting, I knew what it was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to fully play out, because no matter what kind of reader you are, we don't get every answer, especially in our love lives. But I understood that there was a destiny assignment. It was a potential soulmate assignment. Free will would be involved. Choose left, choose right, choose up, choose down, choose black, choose white, choose wrong, choose right. Can't be the only eyes on you. Your love brought me plenty trouble. The thing about it is, God knows what we need. I was in another situation that I was discovering was sticky. You know how sticky it gets. When it's all said and done, when everyone's filled with regrets, you know how sticky it gets. All that talking out of your chest, you know how sticky it gets. I was in a sticky situation that I didn't realize was a sticky situation with a past life enemy that I understood was a past life enemy. It had dawned upon me. I had the awareness of it about a year and a half, 2 years before it dissolved. I had a confluence of emotions about that relationship that I didn't really know how to process. I was thinking I could salvage it. Empaths, we think that our hearts and our love can save people, but they can't. And what we will do is deplete ourselves. And that's why God allowed Black Trouble to come into my life, because I was in a situation with someone who not only didn't value my life, but didn't value the contributions that I was making to her life. And that's what troubled the coffee. In the beginning of my time with Black Trouble, there was a song, and it was our song, if there was a song to be ours. It was unspoken, but it was understood. We'd play it. I'd play it in her absence. She'd play it in my absence. When the telepathic connection was connecting, it was sizzling. It was intense. I remember her picking me up from the airport. We did a lot of flying in and out to each other. She picked me up. She had it on. Now, I was aware she was karmic. We'd had the conversation. I'd tried breaking up with her several times. The first time I tried to break up with her was 2 months in. I was like, this is going to be a fucking disaster. This is going to be a disaster if I do not get back out. If I do not get back out. You see, I was already in. I'd already pulled myself back in. I'd already been caught up in the undercurrent. I'd already been pulled in the undertow of her scorpionic placements. I had already been lured in with the diplomacy of her Libra energy. And I knew I had to go through it. In order to grow, you have to go. But I remember the first time being like, pass this cup before me. She was a problem. And not a problem in the way that she might fancy herself in her hubris and ego. A problem that I saw like a teacher diagnoses a problem student, like I saw the issue. It's so funny. I remember her telling me that an ex of hers, before they were exes, they had lived together, and towards the disillusion and the ending of the relationship, she discovered that he had created a Facebook forum. This is back in the day, so think about Facebook back in the day, but a Facebook support group, essentially. I'm paraphrasing, but he was seeking help on Facebook, a man, and happy Black History Month. This was a man, an African American man, which in, I know 80% of y'all here, shout out to all my melanated queens and all ethnicities that are here watching today, but in our community, Little Kitchen Table Talk, seeking medical help for men is not something that is done or was done as much. It is much more prevalent now. The culture has shifted, and that's beautiful. But mental health specifically is something that men in our culture were just not running to do 5, 10, 15 years ago. I don't know how long ago this was. Maybe probably within the last 10 years, I would imagine. Nevertheless, she discovered that. Black Trouble discovered that this person was seeking help because he wanted to understand what the actual fuck was going on at the end of their connection. Why she was so difficult to understand, perceive. Now, I imagine he didn't articulate all of that to her, and I got the story from her, so that's with her glasses on, whatever color those glasses were. But I remember so naively with my empath ass, y'all, I gotta share this with you. I gotta tell the truth and shame the devil, thinking I'm fantastic at communication. I am fifth house Leo. I got this. I am so good at communication and connecting and understanding people's deeper issues, which may sometimes show up in the relationship, right? I remember saying, God put me in, coach. This is easy peasy. That's so unfortunate that he had to do that. But I'm really good at this. Ooh, what do they say? Pride comes before the fall. My God, y'all. The challenge that black coffee was to me, it was one of the worst communication experiences I've ever had in a relationship. And I've had people stonewall me, straight up narcissists, people stymie me, abusive father, sociopathic father, no conversation needed, just a backhand, like I was like a bitch on the stroll and he was my pimp. Like that's the kind of stuff that I dealt with. So I was like this, and I had to learn what that backhand meant. So I was able to decode. A lot of you guys that have been through abuse understand and know what it is to anticipate the flinch and the shift of somebody's energy. So I thought, someone who doesn't communicate, this is easy peasy. I've done this my whole life, all my life, grinding all my life. Yeah, I made the sacrifice. I paid the price. So I thought, I've got this. Put me in, coach. Famous last words. I probably, well, honestly, truly, I have never had. And it's funny, I'm channeling honestly, truly. That's a Joanne the Scammer. She was a scammer, is what my angels just said. If y'all remember Joanne the Scammer from back in the day, who would be like, honestly, truly, I might connect this short of him below. Fantastic comedian, hilarious Joanne the Scammer. She was a scammer. She was a scammer. I'm hearing channeling Sade, Soldier of Love, but she was a scammer. I don't even think she was a scammer of love. I think she was just a scammer. I think life was hard for her, and I think she made a lot of incredibly selfish choices. I remember talking to her grandmother before she passed. Uh, well, excuse me, let me not misspeak. I was talking to her grandmother. I do not know if her grandmother was passed or not, but that was more Freudian and telepathic. But I, her grandmother was, it was her grandmother's 100th birthday, and her grandmother was nonverbal, and but I can talk to people when the veil is thin. She was getting ready to make her soul ascension. I'm going to set the scene for you like this. If you guys have ever seen the movie Joe Black, there is a scene where Brad Pitt goes into a hospital and there's a West Indian woman there, and she is very verklempt and taken aback because she understands, because she's a seer, she's psychic. She understands that he is death because, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Joe Black, he is death. Like the Grim Reaper, he's coming to collect. So she says, "What are you doing here?" Essentially, like you did. She says, "No, that's what her grandmother said to me." She said in the movie to Brad Pitt, "You come to collect me," or something of that nature, right? Then he starts speaking patois, which was like really funny. But he starts speaking patois back to her and saying like, "You're safe. I'm not coming to get you." He was there for somebody else, but she knew he was death. This is nothing I ever shared, but I'm sharing with you guys here. But her grandmother asked me, even though she's nonverbal, essentially, I telepathically heard her say, "What are you doing here?" Now, it wasn't that I was there to collect her. I am not death. I am not Oppenheimer. I have become the destroyer of worlds. I am not that. But I said back to her, "I'm here with your granddaughter." And we had like a really funny light exchange. She was telling me something that I was trying to make out about spoiledness and a discipline thing, and something about her mom and discipline specifically. Like she was trying to tell me a story, and I really, it's too bad all of that went the way it did, because I was never able to communicate it with Black Trouble because we had other fish to fry. But there was a very specific thing about her being 6 or 7 and some level of discipline, and the mother didn't do something, and it was like the grandmother essentially was communicating to me that she was spoiled. And it doesn't mean that she wasn't a lovely child and they didn't adore her and it wasn't her grandmother's pride. I had so much respect for the grandmother because I could feel the grandness of her energy. Okay. And as we were ending our just less than a minute conversation, as she's trying to convey this message, and I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. I don't call myself a medium or anything, and she was alive at the time, absolutely. So I don't like, I don't, but people come through, and when they come through, they come through, and sometimes I can channel things when I'm with people, and so I got that. And it was such a thing that I wanted to clarify it with her at one point and be like, "Hey, what happened at this moment?" And maybe it wouldn't even be a memory that Black Trouble would have even recalled, because she said 6 or 7. But the point is that at the end of it, her grandmother didn't talk, but she was just kind of shaking her head just lightly back and forth as we commenced the conversation. I said, I just have so much respect for her, but yeah, I understood what I was dealing with. The reason I tell that story is because when I think about that guy trying to seek help because he didn't understand the whys of her behavior, I was like, yeah. And here I thought I was going to be a Captain Ho empath savior. Uh, I will tell you, dealing with her permanently retired my cape. It's so funny. I had a friend who, you know, would take me out for my birthday to a strip club, and she would joke with me, "I come back, Monette, and you and the stripper in the deepest conversations, and if I'm not careful, you're going to be living under a bridge with her, and you'll spend your whole savings and whatever." She was like, you just, how does this go from like throwing dollars to someone sitting in your lap and crying? And I was like, I don't know, this is just my life, right? So when I say put me in, coach, I've been in a couple of places in my life with people, and I'm able to navigate emotional depths and waters. But this was out of my depth, and it depleted my water. I'd really never come up against something or someone like that. I remember thinking like, oh, that poor guy, just not understanding. I was like, shit, I'm pretty well versed and pretty well read regarding psychology, pretty well studied regarding life experiences and survival with narcissism. This one was above me. This one was above me. So, Black Coffee is a Afrobeat artist, and the song that was our song was "I'm Falling." It's hypnotic. It is entrancing. It is enchanting. It's an undertow. It's scorpionic. If ever there was a song that I could give the moniker of Scorpio to, it was that. The last time she picked me up, I was there for that grandmother's 100th birthday. And when I got into the vehicle, it was playing. Because even though communication out of her throat was not something she loved to do, she communicated. She knew how to. But I was already hip to game, and I already knew that we were not in alignment to any degree. I had reached out to a shaman friend and a fairy friend who's very grounded, and was just like, hey, heads up, pray for me. I'm kind of going in, and I'm dealing with this person that I just always am getting this weird spin with. But I'm telling you guys the story because that spin had to happen. Because what she did was she was an adjutant, even though that was not the intention on my end whatsoever. Was she an adjutant to me? Yes, of course. But she was an adjutant to the blonde roast, the blonde coffee. I had someone in my life who I loved dearly, deeply, really, truly, and I didn't realize until the end that she didn't really like me. That was embarrassing. That was embarrassing for me, it was. So I have Scammer, Black Coffee over here. I've got Blonde Roast over here, who acted like she was rooting for me, but really she was a handler, if you will. She was a past life enemy. She said she was happy for me. She wasn't. She was weirdly jealous, which I didn't realize because when I met her, I was making, I was in a corporate job and I was making $10 an hour for 10 years. It doesn't mean I don't have other hustles. I wrote a book while I was at that job. I threw art shows. I did all kinds of things. I had a catering company, but still, on paper, for the facts that were brass tacks, I was making $10 an hour. I had a boss that was telling me we don't ask for raises and all the rest of it. So I was not in a good position, and I was just dissolving a twin flame relationship when I met Blonde Coffee, and I was dejected, depressed, disappointed, disillusioned. I was vulnerable. I look back. I remember the hairstyle I had. A friend of mine sent me a video of a friend of ours who passed away. And I remember I went to Paris with Blonde Coffee within a few days after that film was taken. And she just sent it to me in the last couple months, and I realized how innocent I was and how naive. Like, I could see it on me, you know? I could see the sucker in me, even though I didn't think that of myself at the time. But Blonde Coffee was more experienced and wiser, and she knew exactly that she was essentially picking up $100 bill and pretending it was just like a quarter that she found. I now realize exactly what kind of plan she devised to take me down, to put me in a level of indentured servitude emotionally for her. Fascinating what things can happen. But I didn't realize she didn't really like me and just really needed me to kind of fuel her energy. And she wasn't rooting for me and she wasn't happy for me. And a woman who was very conventionally attractive, I thought. I remember my twin flame actually you know, upon understanding that we were becoming friends or whatever, she was like, wow, she's like really, really beautiful. And I thought my twin flame was very attractive too. She was very beautiful. There were two different, you know, my twin flame was Maleficent in walking, breathing form. Literally that evil the whole time. I don't know what I ever saw in her. It's so funny when you grow up, guys. You just reflect back on your choices and what you would allow. Things that could never even stand the test of time now. But, yeah. But she was a different kind of beauty. In any case, I remember her saying, this blonde coffee girl, she's really beautiful. She did like a blonde, my twin flame, she did. But I remember just thinking of how naive and innocent I was at that time. And I think about all the things that happened. I just didn't realize that she didn't like me. And it took a dark, it took a dark, and I mean that. I don't mean that literally, even though she was a beautiful shade of mahogany that she was so unhappy with. It was so sad. It's so sad when people really don't like themselves, you know? But, when I say dark, I don't mean it in the literal color of her melanin. I'm talking about her energy, her ephemera, her esoteric field. She was dark. That black coffee was indeed very dark. And she brought a lot of darkness with her. She made a lot of people uncomfortable. And primarily me. But she made a lot of people, I watched it all the time. And I got feedback from it. People would say stuff or she'd be irritating. It was just a lot of things, right? But she served a purpose. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Even people that you feel like get in your way, even if you feel like they're going out of their way to be disrespectful and rude and unkind and cruel. And she was all of those things with me. Cavalier, reckless. There's so many words. So many words that she would never use or couldn't have the capability to say, but I can say them, and they were the truth. But she was used to essentially, ironically, knock someone else off the board. And it's not because I chose her over, I chose neither of them. I remember having Friendsgiving, and she flew in, and we went to and met with some friends, and, you know, we cooked. She and I both cooked separately, but we cooked. Her energy was so dysregulating, I couldn't even be in the kitchen with her for romance, you know what I mean? She was a great cook, though. Never gonna lie about that. But she just was not a calm or safe space. I don't even know if she's a safe space for herself, but she sure as hell wasn't a safe space for me, so I didn't even feel comfortable really being in the kitchen with her. We would take shifts, ironically, but we got the cooking done. But I remember talking to her during that Friendsgiving and saying, I can't tell if it's you or Blonde Roast, but one or both of you is going to have to go. I know that sounds like a wild thing to say, but I'm incredibly honest to a fault. And I'd already told her, this feels very karmic to me. This feels incredibly karmic to me. I don't feel like you like me or you're really interested in me. I really don't know what you're here for, but this feels very karmic. You're not locked in, you're not focused. It was just a lot of things, right? Well, her presence was incredibly disturbing to Blonde Roast. What she did and the purpose that she served, now I understand what Black Trouble was exactly supposed to do. She was there specifically to irritate Blonde Roast so that she would show me her real face and drop the mask. There were a lot of things that I picked up in the previous, like the couple years leading up to that moment when it was over, but with Blonde Roast specifically. But Black Trouble made that coffee really bitter between me and she. She was hateful, she was spiteful, she was controlling. Now, she already didn't like me, as I've explained. I didn't realize it till like almost to the end of it. I was like, she's really rooting for me. She really wants me to be happy. She really wants my dreams to happen. She was a monitoring spirit. The cock blocking was like on a god tier level. I've never had an experience so intense before. I've had people not wish me well, and people be jealous of me, or people be like, I don't want to, why does she get to have that? You know, all the normal stuff that all of us humans go through. I've had those emotions for people. People have those emotions for me. I don't take great offense to that, because I understand it's par for the course. Heavy as a head. If you're doing what's right, or you have a level of authenticity, and people that are fake or don't know who they are, they will really get in their fifis when they come up against someone like you, Earth Angel, who may have that level of authenticity, who has a natural whatever you have, charisma, whatever your thing is, you know how that goes. So that wasn't what was so overwhelming to me. What it was that I felt like we were going to really extend our destiny. You know, when I cut people off, they think, did she ever really care about me? I cared about you so much, I didn't want to get it to be something that turned ugly. And so when Blonde Coffee started showing her natural ass and being diabolical, and that god tier cock blocking she was doing, and it wasn't just because she didn't like me being in a relationship. That's a whole nother thing. There were so many layers and substacks to this, right? It wasn't just that. She had issues with that. And then there were multiple layers of why she had issues with that. But it was that she was blocking many things. And I just started to be cognizant and aware when Black Trouble was there. You guys get it? Like, it heightened my awareness. Like, gosh, there are all these dreams and things that I wanted to come to fruition, and she's been actively praying against it. Now, she was someone that would, on a moon day or whatever, be like, hey, what spiritual work can I do for you? I always thought that was really interesting. Well, what she was doing was trying to bypass spiritual law, which is like, if I ask your permission, then essentially I'm just going to be doing work on you, or I'm going to be pulling cards on you. She was out of fucking order. And that's something that she was not used to hearing in her life, because of her privilege and because of how she was able to mask. It was a few things, not just one, but I was really focused on the masking part. I was like, no, you're out of order. And she wasn't used to hearing that. In her life, people don't tell her you're out of order. She was out of fucking order. And she was doing things against spiritual will and against my own free will. And you say, Monette, how do you know that? You know, is it just maybe an opinion? Is it how you felt? No. I know because when I extricated myself from her, and when I stopped telling her things, and when I stopped letting her think that she was the God I was praying to, I think she thought I think she thought that I thought she was the God I was praying to. Everything had to be run by her, whatever. And listen, I don't mind. I am a Leo. We're very territorial and protective over the people we love. But I wouldn't say we're suffocating. That's not a thing. Like, I don't have to talk to you for 6 months. But I will pick up the phone and we could talk for 4 real hours and kiki, haha, and I'm good. Also, I'm going to really care about you. I'm going to check in. I'm going to ask, how are you doing? What's going on with you? Like, I know how to be a good friend. But I realized that she was a monitoring spirit, a handler, a past life enemy, you name it, beans, greens, and potatoes. She was like a final boss for me, and I imagine there'll be more final bosses that I get to see in the future, but God needed me to know what that looks like. It was like, imagine the insidious feeling, the stomach sinking feeling of someone who hates your guts, and that's your best friend. That shit had to come to an end. And as soon as it did, imagine so many of my manifestations, dreams, and wishes coming true. Now, I will say, I did a clean sweep of all karmics. I highly recommend that you do that too, if this is an issue for you. But at the time, like, I cut everybody. When I say everybody, I mean everybody. I mean everybody. And I decided I'm going to commit to me. All this energy I'm pouring into you, ungrateful, never satisfied, not creative, selfish, reckless, anarchist bitches, I'm going to put it into me. I had just depleted myself. Maybe some of y'all can relate to this. Empaths, just running myself ragged with my empathy. Just a bleeding heart pouring out everything. Toxic empathy, right? If there's toxic masculinity, there's sure, or toxic positivity, there sure as hell is toxic empathy. I was a toxic empath. Giving and giving and giving and giving while they laughed and laughed and laughed in my face. And I'm still recovering. When I say I really got therapy in this last couple of years, I did. It wasn't just for Black Trouble. It was for Blonde Roast too. That shit took it out of me. Black Trouble was one thing, and there was, the game was afoot, if you will. I remember one of the first gifts she ever gave me was a chessboard with a missing piece. She did not do that on purpose. But everything's a tarot card to me. And my angel said right from the beginning, could you see? She rigged the fucking game with you. And I still had to figure out how to checkmate her, never knowing how to play that game as we began. She was teaching me, a game that was stacked and rigged with a missing piece. She sent me the missing piece. She was always very so thoughtful. But that was the tarot card reading. You're about to go through the game of your life here with Black Trouble, and it's going to rearrange the board completely. I remember her teaching me about the pawn and the queen and protecting this and the king and the things and all the things that go along with chess. We watched the Queen's Gambit. And now I realize who the archetype that I related to was, which is obviously the person that became the chess master. Amazing things can happen if your life begins in disaster or rejection or dejection or deflection. You're receiving less than. It's amazing what you can turn your life into. It's usually the underdogs that have the testicular fortitude to push through. It's a great little watch if it's something you're into. That game needed to happen. Blonde Roast needed to be knocked off the board. In as much as Black Trouble was diabolically pathological, and the angel said it came from a very childlike perspective with her. Not to say that she was, yes, was she mature, of course, but it was also like, I'm lying because as a kid, the kid in her was like, I'm scared to tell the truth or whatever, but she was also a grown-ass adult. Grown. So, just like her grandmother said to me, like, this is a problem. She has this problem. This is a problem in her. So, that was one thing. And anybody that's ever dealt with any F-boy or F-girl, y'all know. You know what that is. But what the devastation to my emotional nation was that insidious Blonde Roast. That hurt my fifis. That made me have to become super Scion empath, dark empath, Hyoka empath, every empath under every moniker of empath. Because I had to understand her depths, understand my inner depths, but then also put some respect on my own name. Is we finished or is we done? Isn't that what Birdman said? And I quote, is we finished or is we done? And by the end, it was all three of y'all. There was about 3, 4, 5 feet, 1, 2, 3, 4 feet. I'm chilling, Dave Chappelle. I plead the fifth. There were a lot of people that I had to cut out of my life. But if it wasn't for Black Trouble, I would have never got the Blonde Roast to take a hike. It was such a necessary, when you look back at the game afterwards, right? You can review that game, hit the little timer, stop it, keep moving when you're ready to play again. When I retrospectively take it in, it was a masterpiece that was orchestrated by my angels. It was a master class in unmasking communication and taking back my power. At the end of Connections, people can always rewrite the story for however it suits them, but both of those women know exactly what happened at the end of our Connections. They know what the truth is. It's that I was fed up. I was so fed up. It was actually perfect, guys, because they canceled each other out. I was so disgusted with the pathological, dirty, grimy, like, I had to laugh at myself. You know how they always say, like, it could be the hood dude that's bow-legged with 9 inches that'll have you just stuck. The thing is, she wasn't even any of that. But I was so messed up because I knew she didn't have the capacity to fill a cup. She told me things people would say about her, and I reflectively understand why they said it now. And I'm not gonna just repeat it to be mean, but like, I get it. You know, peace is found in you. I totally understand why people would not want you to do this or that or have you be part of their life to any degree. You are chaotic, really. But with Blonde Roast, it was completely different. She was masquerading as peace. It was with Black Trouble, I at least knew what I was getting. And I knew what I was getting into. Right from the very beginning, she was on fuck shit. From that first game of chess, right from the chalet, in every place she was playing in my face. So I had no one but myself to blame. You got to take accountability. You know, just because people are not on the same level at your spiritual journey, and even if she wasn't, she still had a level of accountability that she could take because she was an adult and she was being weird or fake. But my bestie, that Blonde Roast, that was different because she was a cougar, she was older, she knew better to every degree, but she was far more immature than me, and she was also unteachable. And that's something that I recommend you never be. You know, I have people that sometimes get it mistaken, karmic people that are dysregulated and mentally ill, that feel like I don't like learning the lesson. They have no idea how many lessons I've had to learn in order to receive a single blessing. But you have to subject yourself to always be yo-yoing between the teacher and the student. Life will humble you to be that. I was watching something today. It was the one of the actors that was on Grey's Anatomy. Patrick Dempsey and him were like besties on the show. Blonde guy, so fine, and he has ALS, and he was making his last message to his girls, and it's on Netflix. And maybe I'll connect the link below. But you see this, he was so fine. He was so fine. He was the one I always wanted on Grey's Anatomy. Everybody else wanted everybody else. He was the one I wanted, okay? Super fine. And it's just ALS has ravaged him, right? And he was talking about, like, you know, live your life, love people you really love, choose your friends. That's one of the things he said that really stuck with me. It made me think of Blonde Roast. He was like, choose your friends wisely. Guys, as an empath, we will get run through with narcs and people that are weird, but sometimes shit really breaks your heart. And that situation, even though they canceled each other out, it broke my heart. Imagine you're breaking up with someone you're seeing, and then someone that you really love. I really loved her. I would have never left her life. I didn't want to leave her life. I'm talking about Blonde Roast, the bestie, right? I didn't want to leave her life. I thought she was my ride or die. I had been ride or die for her. I thought we were going to distance. We're going for speed. I thought it was going to be. But she let her jealousies and her demons overtake her. Did she always hate me? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think she always hated me. But I think she has a lot of issues with control and regulation and a lot of things that I will leave unsaid. But I definitely understood the game she was playing with herself in her head about me. And then there was definitely layers. So it was a lot deeper than I could ever really dive into. She knows, and I knew. But those two, that Black Trouble yielded me a very bitter Blonde Roast. And she started doing the most. And I got the most when I left her. I got everything I wanted. I got things that I didn't even think I wanted. Maybe I got dreams that were hers. You know, that's how that works in spiritual warfare, is you just kind of, to the victor go the spoils, right? So if you are fair with people, it's not about how it ends or who breaks up with who. It's if you did the right thing in your heart. If Anubis could weigh your heart and it was light as a feather, then the spoils go to you. And with both of those women and lessons and teachers, because I was very much a student when I was under their non-care, I was fair. That Mars in Libra means that I am fair. I don't do unjust things to people. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. It just means I go out of my way to make sure things have a level of equanimity and equilibrium. And that's nothing that either of those two could understand. That hypnotic energy of I'm falling with the Black Coffee song. That's why this message is titled as such. I think you guys can surmise the play on words. I had Black Trouble because that song was also powerful, which is just called Trouble by SARS. But that Black Trouble ended up troubling the coffee. And that was a theme between me and my former bestie. The coffee became acidic and bitter, too bitter for consumption, no longer palatable. Both of those women were beautiful lessons for me, powerful teachers for me. Both of them served purposes for me in different ways. I will never allow myself to be handled to that degree. I feel like I'm halfway through my life, so I was like, why did I get such a powerful lesson with a handler and a past life enemy like I did with Blonde Roast? It was weird to me. I was like, Angels, what's this about? Like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I'm in my 40s. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? But I needed that. I needed to see what that looks like when someone only wants to be proximal to you because they want access to dismantle you, which ironically, which is exactly what was happening in the scorpionic, hypnotic energy with Black Trouble. Same, different energy, same agenda, I would say. They had different ways of dismantling. Let's say that. Black Trouble didn't like me at all. That's why I'm not too tender. You know, when you guys hear me retell the stories, I retell it from the perspective of an artist and from a person who creates and transmutes my trauma into something worthwhile. Maybe giving purpose to her life. She was very confidently wandering, so she said. She liked that she was aimless. And I'm very directional and very focused. And so maybe God knew she wasn't going to do anything with her life, so he allowed our experiences to collide so that I would, in fact, make sure that her life was remembered. It's a hell of a memory. She did make choices. You know, they say that was a choice. Choices were made, but she will be memorialized because of the game she played. It was important teaching for me. I needed that. Also, one of my favorite things, especially with my neurodivergency, is to be able to allow someone to play with me while I'm watching them because I'm learning how to dismantle that game. Or I'm learning the mainframe. They're showing me the matrix. I'm seeing all the zeros and ones dropping. It's amusing to me and fascinating to watch people make fools of themselves because then I just teach you how to shore up your mental health from what I learned. So it's almost like she gave her brain to science, except she didn't have to pass away in order for us to learn something about her corrupted mainframe. So that's the game people play with you, Earth Angels. You have the ability to do the same thing that I do, which is observe people when they think that you're a fool. Just be quiet. Let the fool think they're fooling you. And then snatch whatever it is that they were using on you and transmute it or teach it or disable it. You know how to snip wires, don't you? We are the bomb squad for people that are Delulu. Black Trouble troubled the coffee. And it helped me set myself free. In retrospect, I don't have heightened emotions for either of them. Deeper disappointment for the friend, quote unquote. But now that I realized she didn't like me, and she was hating on me, and she was weirdly jealous and being competitive with me, which is so stupid. Because when I met her, I was super underdog. So I felt like she was genuinely happy to see me, but I realized that she liked people that she could feel pity for. She also helped me, you know, similar to Black Trouble, I figured out a lot of things about her sociopathy and pathological energy. But with Blonde Roast, what I learned from her is a whole new word that I didn't even understand. And I've been really working on disseminating this to you guys. But she taught me about what it looks like when someone has spiritual Munchausen's. It's like she wished or willed for things to not be good so she could have something to feed off of. It creeped me the fuck out. I will tell you, my angels, like I said, everything's a tarot card. And I went to visit with some friends in Georgia, and they bought a house. You know, they said they're going to buy a house when we were initially connecting, and they did buy a house and everything. And so they wanted me to come see their house. So I went to stay with them. And my friend, she grew up in California, sweetheart. She's there with her fiance. And she was like, I want to do a movie night. So we cooked and we were just chilling and everything. And she can burn too. She's a great cook. And she put on Serial Mom, which is like a movie from like the 90s, I think. And I'd seen it, but I hadn't seen it in years. And it was when I knew, I literally broke up with Blonde Roast that same weekend, because I knew my angels were screaming at me, because it's about this beautiful, blonde, well-coiffed woman who is seething with anger and a superiority complex. And she's literally unaliving people. It's like done very comedically, so it's very light considering it's a serial killer movie. But she is like making a beautiful roast, and I just remember thinking of my blonde roast, pulling out like a prime rib and just doing, like, she also could cook as well, and like making things and making sure everybody was taken care of, and just being like the consummate sweetheart, and things she had done for me and all of that stuff. But here I am watching this mom who is just like so hateful, but it's hidden. She's like running over people. She's like hurting people in bathrooms. She's like just doing diabolical outside of the societal norm of things, right? But it's very light. And that was the situation that was causing me the fright. I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally, I almost said her name, this is Blonde Roast. My angel, it's not that she was going to unalive me, but she was spiritually stymieing me and unaliving me and wishing unwell for me. I was so sick. The whole time I was with her, this is what I mean. Don't worry. There is more coming on this, because my angels really cracked my brain open with this. The whole time I was with her, I was the most sick that I had ever been. And it was not her fault. She did not like inject me with anything. She did not do anything like people with Munchausen's actually do. But I want to tell you, she didn't mind someone that she had to tend to. That gave her a lot of pleasure and joy. I don't even know if she understands how she works. But I remember being with her and around her and just thinking, oh my gosh, is she wishing for me to be worse? Like, does she like it? But then there was also abuse with it too, because it'd be like, I'm almost on my deathbed, and she'd be like, oh, you're taking a nap. And I'm like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? Shout out to Adam Lambert. What do you want from me? I was like, this is too much. I've never experienced anything like it. But that movie, that weekend at my girlfriend's house, my friend girl, a platonic friend, really good friend, but I will never forget. And she was like, this is one of my favorite movies. And I was like, I knew you were a little Tiggy Boom. Like, you were just watching this as a kid. And she was like, yeah, I just love this movie. So we watched it, which I would have never done. I'm never putting that on. I'm not even putting on cable. I was so surprised that you had cable. And we watched Serial Mom. And my angel said, this is your Blonde Roast. And this is what your black trouble revealed to you, is that you have a real fucking problem here. Black trouble is someone that was going to never be someone that's stuck in my life or stayed. She didn't mean me any well. She was just gonna play games. She, that's just what she knew how to do. She had a very limited emotional capacity. So for what I need, the richness that I require in relationships, she was never even going to be able to rise to. And so everything worked out exactly how it needed to. But her real purpose wasn't just to irritate the ever loving shit out of me and to be disrespectful and reckless and try me. It was to bring out the demons in Blonde Roast that she was able to tamp down when it was just me and she. But with the third party, which I wasn't trying to make a third party, Black Trouble loved threes. She loved them. She said she hated them. She loved them. I've never seen someone love a three more. But her being there was an integral part of the revealing. Sometimes you will have relationships in your life where you're like, why did all this happen? And why am I in so much pain at the end of it? And why did this suck? And why did this person behave this way with me or whatever? Blonde Rose needed to see how Black Trouble was at times kind to me, because that triggered her enough to show me the nastiest, most diabolical serial mom type level of energy that she possessed inside. I mean, chilling when you used to something about deep inside, and I believe the children are our future. Teach them right and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. That's it. I need to see all the darkness she possessed inside. Now, here's the thing. I'm down for the ride for any friendship, but I need you to own your darkness. I now make it a prerequisite. Don't come to me if you don't know what your shadow is, what your demons are, because you're not going to be trying to not guess who on some Cardi B, like, knock, knock. Ding dong. On some pop-up guess who. No, 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 no. I don't want no pop-up guess who's. I want to see you coming. I want to see your shadow walking next to you. Oh, that's your shadow. Nice to meet you. Okay. Hopefully we don't ever have to like tussle, but if we do, this is my shadow too. Those are the kind of connections that I'm seeking now. I'm not with the shits with anybody that is so unaware. And these two were so deeply repressed. Like, they knew they were terrible people. Black Trouble told me she was terrible in the beginning. I remember we were in the chalet. I'll never forget it. She was like, I'm not a good person. Believe people when they tell you. What am I to say? And I did believe her, because I was questioning her from the beginning. That's one thing she could never lie about, even though she will lie about it. But right from the very beginning, I was like, bitch, what are you really doing? What the fuck is this? You're trifling. Why are you being weird? You're being sneaky. You a stupid hoe. You was a stupid hoe. You was a stupid hoe. Like, I just picked up on her. But I was slow on the uptake was with Serial Mom with Blonde Rose. That's why I was like, wait a minute, you don't like me? Wait, you're in competition with me? Man, you just watched me get this out of the actual mud. The literal dirty, wet mud. How are you hating? How are you being disrespectful? How are you being an op? How have you become an operative in opposition? Do you know that if I was working in your company, you'd be getting the write-up? You'd be on a potential firing? You did get fired. Anyway, I quit. You can't fire people from their own lives. I let her stay in her life, but I needed to have those two intersect. I feel like it was really a meeting between them and not so much about me, because I was Homer Simpson at the end of it. Simper. Oh my God. My angels are on my ass. For any simping that I did for either of them. Simping for Black Trouble and simping for Blonde Rose, because I was a simp for both of them to a certain degree. I really liked both of them. I really was genuine and showing up and trying to be what they would need, but they didn't give a fuck. When I say not a single damn, not a scintilla of a thought about what my needs were. It wasn't until the end of the relationship with Serial Mom, Blonde Roast, that she was like, we could go this, do that, beep, 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 bop, beep, beep, boop. She had me drug on every National Lampoon's Vacation, transmuting all the energy, being the spiritual help, while she's spiritual munchhousing me. It was a lot. It was too much. She was exhausted. It was exhausting. And I didn't have enough time. This is what you guys need to take away from this, to focus on my stuff. Because I was pouring so much energy, and she was like, yeah, like faster, like cracking the whip, and wanted more and more out of me. And I kept like retreating like Homer Simpson into the bushes. Like, I'm not here. Like, what were you going to do? What were you doing before I was here? How did you emotionally regulate? How did you fight everybody and cuss everybody out and be mad at this person or that person when I wasn't here? And I don't mind being a friend to show up and do that. And there should be a level of reciprocity. But at a point, I don't even know how she didn't understand how much she was asking of me. It was stuff she wasn't even giving to herself. Also, with Black Coffee, her level of expectation of perfection that she had for me, when the trash ass people in her life weren't even giving her, again, a scintilla, a modicum, or a scotch of that. The active people, the active friends, the active parents. I was like, ma'am, have you lost your mind thinking that I'm held to some impeccable standard? Y'all, free yourself. Free your mind and the rest will follow. That's so true. I cut both of them off. Be colorblind. Don't be so shallow. I was colorblind to both of their bullshit. One was Blonde Rose, one was Black Rose, but they were both the same kind of demon to me. I was colorblind to the bullshit. I said, I'm going to cut myself free. You all don't give a single fuck about me. Black Trouble was meeting my needs was an offense to her. She went out of her way when I was probably one of the most honest people that she's ever dealt with. When every other man was looking at her and like, I just want to bend you over. I don't see you as a wife or a person to take seriously or anything. And I was like, hey, I think you have potential for growing, but also, just like these men, what do you not understand what you're showing? Do you not know what the show and tell is that you do? They're here to fuck, sis. Not really to get to know you. I actually want to get to know you, but the punishment for that, why did I tell the truth to that devil? She was like, I ain't gonna punish you forever. I was like, do you punish all these other Jews that try to bend you over? I don't know. You let me know. You let me know how you handle that, because I don't think so. And when it came to Serial Mom and Blonde Roast, she did not care about meeting my needs either. Now, that wasn't a need specifically with Black Trouble, but I'm talking about what we contractually agreed to, the simplest little things. I will forever laugh at her in my soul, because I think that life will be for hers to have and to hold in her own way, where she will reflect on these simple things that I was wanting from her, which was communication and what we agreed to in our connection. And she withheld even those things from me. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. My earth angel energy went straight to her head as she was treating me crazy. I can only laugh about it now. I have written some stuff that's super funny, so it's comedic, really. Y'all will laugh too, but that was a wild ride, and I will forever just laugh at her in my mind, because I'm like, wow, what a trifling. Like, what happens, guys, is people come throat chakra hit whenever I talk about Black Trouble. She was so terrible for even communication. But people come to you guys and they think they're a good person. Maybe they've convinced other people in their life, specifically Serial Mom. But what happens is, especially with, they don't realize what happens with my Mars in Libra, I rule justice. And justice also, if it's unjust, it makes me incandescent. And not like I'm angry and want to fight you, but like you are dismissed from me for the rest of your life, and the judgment isn't. I'm channeling in the word, in the Bible, or the writings on the wall. That saying that we all know comes from the hand of God appearing as like an apparition and writing on the wall, and what was written was meeny, meeny, tinkle, essentially. And the translation is, you have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. That's such a read. It's such a burn. So this kingdom, this empire, was not doing what God was saying, and he was sick of it. He was sick of their shit. So he just appeared and said, here's just my hand, and let me, y'all can read this. Y'all have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. You know what it also channels to me is Anubis, which I know I work with Anubis. Unfortunately or fortunately, okay? Which is so funny. I started this off talking about death and Joe Black. I am not death. I do not take people, but what I will do is I weigh things. And it doesn't mean that I show up just to judge you, but it means that if your heart's not pure, don't come near me specifically, because I'm going to know. And then now it's going to crack open for you a level of spiritual work that you were probably not equipped to do, or didn't want to do, or weren't willing to do. And that was the case with both Black Trouble and Blonde Rose specifically. They were masking, hiding, and running from their real shadow work. And God said, we're going to bring you to our good sis. She Earth Angel. She's been doing this for a few different kind of lifetimes. And since you guys want to play with her mind and play games with her and withhold from her the very basic thing she's asking of you, when all she's ever done with both of them was give to you endlessly, richly, and overflowingly, then you've been weighed in the balance and found wanting, sweetie. You're actually terrible people. The verdict is in. And now you can't spin that. It is now a fact. It's cemented because of where that Mars sits in my chart. They will have to break open their own hearts to do the soul work, to ascend. And it's never to come back to me as a homie, lover, or a friend. I am removed out of the equation. Just like the hand of God disappeared, I was only there in their life to write on the wall. When you had an opportunity to do right and to do wrong, and you thought no one was looking, and you thought no one could see what you did in or out of the country, or in or out of the kitchen, or in or out of your household, you chose to do me so dirty. Both of them, all three of y'all, right? So we is finished, as Birdman said, and we are done. They didn't put respect not only on my name, but on my energy and on the one that I pray to. They were blasphemous demons. There was no God in either of them. God who? And God said, the writing's on the wall. And now, thank you, daughter, for the work you did sign up for. You are free. I excuse you from both of these demons. Leave them to me. Y'all need to know that that's how you show up in people's lives, guys. And sometimes things that seem diabolical, outlandish, don't make any sense will be one of the best lessons of your life. I am grateful for both of them, but you can hear, even though I have anger at times, I do, just because of humanity in general. But with those two, they knocked each other off the board. It was perfect. It was one of the better experiences that I had because of what happened in the aftermath of removing haters from me. Black Trobul didn't even like me. She was only around to be an asshole. She was a groupie, which was weird. And I thought, how are you a groupie? What would you do if you were able to be a groupie and be around everybody that you really liked that was famous? That, you know, and that's not me. That's not me saying that, but I'm saying she really could go be a groupie for people that were famous. And I was like, if Aniko was letting you be around her all the time, would you be picking her apart and being a dick to her and being an asshole? You've been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Your true character was exposed when you thought it was someone unsuspecting or someone that society said should be dismissed because that's the crazy shit in your head because you've been treated like shit. That was a lot of projection from Black Trobul, real talk. And so I thought, no, God's never going to allow you proximity or access to anybody because of how you did me. That's that Mars in Libra, sweetie. I see you and I raise you. My Mars is more powerful than your sun because I understand the shadow and how to actually get things done. Because Mars is shadow, specifically. It is God of War. It is conquistador. It is action. A gavel banging down on a mallet banging down and a gavel saying, you know, case closed. That's the action of Mars in Libra, specifically. So I don't just mask with diplomacy and what's presented to the world. I show up to assess people quietly. If you're good, we're going to get along like a house on fire. If you're not, you are serial mom to the limit, to the wire. You're going to be spinning because there is no coming back to me. I am for people, the hand of God that removes the energy. I don't let people come back to me to tell me their sorries once they've reflected or they're calmed down or the demons have subsided. They are now forever an op and forever dangerous. They can never approach me. I'm not doing round twos. I say that, guys, but I promise you. And in the case of Black Trobul specifically, God was testing me. He said, you walk it like you talk it. You see what she's doing? You see how out of order she is? Now you can snatch her throat out of her face, or you can remove yourself and you can win your race in a different way. I had to stand on business. Your self-respect will be tested by your actions. That's Mars energy specifically. And Libra, it's malaffected, that placement. I'm thinking of KRS, who's a fantastic astrologer out here in the YouTube streets. That is not a aligned placement to have Libra and Mars, because Libra likes diplomacy and kind things. And like this person that I was dealing with, she was a Libra sun. So she was very comfortable. And she told me, I will lie to be more diplomatic. Like one time I was like, girl, why are you lying? Like, you don't have to lie. And she was like, sometimes I just lie because it's just easier. I was like, okay. So that's not what happens in Mars. I want justice and fairness in every way. You will be able to be in people's lives because even if that's not your placement, these games cannot be played. And sometimes the thing that was hypnotic and all-consuming can be a thing that was just there to teach you. She was such a perfect karmic lesson. I don't want to give her any credit because it's not like she made it easier or fun or happy or anything, except for fleeting moments that were just part of the manipulation, honestly. But it was such a succinct, that's what I should say, karmic lesson, because I knew it was karmic. I knew the attraction. I knew it was like, I knew it was unrequited. I knew all of that. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. What took me a minute to understand, because I was like, Jesus, I thought that I had conquered this part with Fran specifically, was Serial Mom. That whole thing with Blonde Rose, but it was necessary. You will be put in people's life, is what I'm trying to say, to be the hand on the wall. It's not what they can tell their friends and family, and the people that they can know, or the people that they're in charge of, or the people that look up to them, or the people that, I'm channeling Black Trouble would tell me that her therapist was like, I want to be you when I grow up. And I was like, bitch, you need a new therapist, or you need to stop lying when you go there. Because if she knew, honestly, if she really knew who you were and you weren't spinning it, I don't know y'all would be besties. I was like, maybe don't be besties with your therapist. Maybe actually get some fucking help, because you need it. But you will be put in people's lives to be the decider of that. It's not something I want, and it was hurtful, and it cost me time and energy, and hurt my fifis and all of that on both ends, right? Also, self-restraint. I had the energy that Black Trouble trafficked in was one I had to be very careful with, because my demons were like, let's just let us handle this. And I was like, I'm not gonna, no, I'm gonna stay balanced. And I did. It was a whole different thing with Blonde Roast, because that was more spiritual warfare. It was spiritual warfare with Black Trouble, but she was like a remedial demon, if that makes sense, or like a demon that was in summer school. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't mean she wasn't diabolical and didn't do things and get a 1 or 2 over on me. She did. But the real demon was the other one. That's what's so crazy. I was like, you're obviously the villain to Black Trouble. Here comes Karen. That was the villain. That was the actual villain. That was the one who was stopping things and blocking things and didn't want me to be in partnerships, and was like, I just support everything you do. I just want you to have every cupcake and every woman and everything you want, girl. But really, she was conservative and repressed and regressed and from 1860 and probably owned me. And girl, it was a lot. It was a lot of things. And my angels were taking me through it. And they were like, you need to have a debt of gratitude to Black Trouble, because had she not shown up, how many years down the road would you gone with someone putting poison in your coffee cup? Black Trouble, troubled coffee. God said, enough is enough. Both of these two are going to help you get unstuck. And then we'll cast them back out to do their shadow work. And I know nothing of them. And they don't come in. And it was like we were never homie, lovers, or friends. Can you imagine? And that's the freedom that you can have when you conquer the lesson. It's 111 on the timer there. Manifestation. Your manifestations come true when you get people that are up close hating, because an enemy needs proximity, and Blonde Roast was a fucking enemy, and Black Trouble was a hater. You know what I mean? She would like to think that she was an enemy, but she was truly she just was a hater. She was like a miserable ass, impoverished, down bad, broken hater who was co-opted too because of addictions with demons and stuff. It was a lot, y'all. There's stuff I never even got into on here, and I never will. But there are things that, like, she knows she's got to clean up, and she will, I imagine. But it has nothing to do with me. Just because she was trying to kick over my cup, or steal out my cup, or siphon my cup, or siphon my swag, or siphon whatever she was. She got, my angels just show me just a lot of things to take care of. So it's these. When you get out of these connections, you think like, I saw something that had to do with a leaf, and they said the electromagnetic field of the leaf still exists even after you cut it. People still remember you after relationships end, and you still remember them. But that's why we say cord, cut, and cleanse, because there is an electromagnetic field. I'll see if I can find that and link it below so you can see how, even though the leaf is cut, it's still there. Just like if a tail's cut off of a lizard, it still moves or whatever. Like there are chickens with the head cut off, right? It's still running around. We are still connected sometimes to people, and that's why they say cord, cut, and cleanse. And I had to really cleanse. And I could tell when the cleansing worked for Blonde Rose specifically, because she was the one I had the deep, I thought, loving relationship with. I knew that it was a hop, skip, and a jump, and a trick and a flip I'm seeing a skateboard. They're showing me like a kickflip. Like, that is the type of timing that Black Trouble was on. I knew it was light. Even the song, if you listen to that song, Stars, it is just about like hoe ass hoochie shit, really. It's like, you fine, I want to talk to you, da 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 da, whatever. It's not, that's what the premise of the song was. I don't know that that's what I felt about her. I felt more of a connection, and I felt like we could do spiritual work, but she was not equipped. Thinking that I could do spiritual work with Black Trouble is like me thinking that like a 4-year-old could do calculus unless he was in Mensa or something. Like, now I realize how absurd it was to think that she was capable of anything other than exactly what she gave. And it's no offense to her. Sometimes people are really good at what they are at. And if I was her, I would hone being a horrible person. I'm not just saying that to be mean. Like, she should own that and really be in her shadow, because she could probably make a lot of money for being terrible. She really could. She's always worried about money. I was like, girl, just be mean and horrible and evil to people and you will win, because at least it's honest. And that's her challenge in life, is that she needs to start telling truths to somebody, even if it's to her own demons. But where I really needed to recover was with Blonde Rose. That shit hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings. But then I was apathetic and angry. The weekend that I broke up with her, when I watched Serial Mom, and I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this with you. I can't stand you. I don't want this anymore. I was mad at her because she was playing with me. I had like forgiven her, and because I really just wanted to keep her, and I thought, no, this is gonna work out, and I'm misunderstanding, and maybe I'm doing too much. Nah, she was diabolical. That's how come my angels had to show me Serial Mom, because they're like, we need you to see exactly how she's masking. And that's exactly how she's masking. A beautiful roast on the table, stabbing it up and killing up people the next day. Unaliving, allegedly. I don't think she's necessarily unalived anybody, but I do think she's wished a lot of death, especially onto me and other people too, where it did affect them. And so God said, final bosses aren't always final bosses. Sometimes they come up against you, Earth Angels. And I didn't want either of those two to be what they were. I thought I had beautiful connections and the capacity to do that. But one I now realize was inept, immature, and incapable. And the other one was diabolically bitter, mean, and evil. And hated me. Girl. Anyway, I'm free. And that's my story about Black Trouble that ended up troubling the coffee. Anyway, cord cut and cleanse. And make sure that you really understand, what about your friends? Will they let you down? Okay? Understand about your friends, guys, and understand about those lovers or F-boys. They're siphoning energy. I was happy to Hadouken both of them away from me, and I got my peace back. I got my sparkle back. I'm still getting my sparkle back, but yo, I'm channeling the Amy Winehouse. We go back to black. That's the energy of Black Trouble. She reminded me Amy Winehouse, secret addictions, all this weird shit, secret life, underbelly. Man, and I was like, just embrace all your darkness, girl. You would be so much happier, and you would stop messing up other people's worlds. When it came to Blonde Roast, I don't think she was redeemable. She's not going to change. She was actually indignant when it came time to just take basic accountability. And I'm like, don't you walk people through this via write-ups and stuff, sweetie? How do you want to not take accountability? Then the friendship with me doesn't matter. You also need to know your worth. Maybe that's what I'll leave you with here, guys, specifically. I understood what I was bringing to both of these women's lives. I understood how I exponentially shifted it, upgraded it, and up-leveled it. That doesn't mean that they were not capable of giving to me, but they chose not to. They're such terrible people, y'all. I don't say it with any kind of like hateration or holleration. It's an observational matter of fact. It's directly from my Mars in Libra. They were calculably terrible people. They were actually terrible. And they were both very withholding unless it was convenient for them. And that's not how you are a homie, lover, or a friend to anybody. And that's why God said this cannot be. You shall not pass. Gandalf style. You shall not pass. Man, back to basics for both of them. But you bring great value to people's life. And you need to know that you do that, okay? I knew what I was bringing to Serial Mom's life, and I knew what I was bringing to Black Trouble's life. I knew. I knew how I had uplifted them, broke their souls open, helped them to see things. But if someone can kind of jip you out of that and try to tell you that this is what I deserve to pay you, then, or this is what I deserve to reciprocate to you, or whatever your agreement or term is, it could be a job, a family, friend, lover, whatever it is for you. If you don't know your worth, then that's what someone will do. I was watching something where a guy said that he fixed his sump pump. It's like one of my favorite like fitness coaches guys. He fixed his sump pump, and he called someone out, and the guy wanted to charge him $8,000 for it. And so he did some research, and then called another plumber out, and the next plumber quoted him $2,500. And then he said he started watching YouTube videos and started to, research a little bit more, and he figured out how to do it, and it ended up costing him a few hours and $165. So it went from $8,000 to $165 because he was like, I'm going to actually figure this out for myself. And he knew that he was getting hit over the head. If you don't know that you're getting hit over the head, if you don't, as he recommended, ask questions, do some research, or watch a video. Just like, even though it's a sump pump, if you have a narcissist, you think someone's narky in your life, watch a video. There is an encyclopedia here on these YouTube streets of fantastic actual clinicians and physicians and doctors that are fully capable of helping walk you through if something looks unknown to you. In my case, with both of these cups of coffee, I used my discernment. I used my angels in me, and I didn't get therapy for the after effects until after I decided I wanted to be free. Okay? I had therapy. I had a therapist during it, but I wasn't processing that that's what I was going through until I was like, same day, both of you fuck off. You know what I mean? So, but it was because I knew my value. I knew that serial mom, Blonde Rose, was greatly under, like, she was... I bet she would do anything to be able to give me what I was asking for so simply now. But no, I know my value. I know what I do for people. And I know what people... You just need to know that about yourself. I knew what my value was with the other person. I knew she had never even been exposed to nothing like that. She even said that to me. I never had nothing like this. I know that's right. But I knew that. So what she was trying to underpay me with, I was like, this is such bullshit. It's such a slap in the face. It's so disrespectful. They were both disrespectful bitches. Real talk. And I decided to remove myself and stitch up my own heart instead of giving either of them stitches. I didn't feel violent towards either of them. I will just say that. That's not how my shadow works. But my shadow is about, like, you will pay. It's like, you know what they're showing me is like Aladdin, in the beginning of Aladdin, where they throw the lamp out to the middle of the desert. When someone is unfair with me, cruel or unkind, their destiny is what I throw out energetically. It's like, go find it if you want to, and I imagine you can get there eventually, but bitch, it's going to take you a lot longer to find it without me. Okay? But that's what I do, and they deserve that. That's that Mars and Libra retribution. No violence, but definitely a karmic full circle of introspection. And there are consequences that are outside of me that go with my ancestors and angels, and you need to know that about you too. But if someone can get you, if someone can pay you $10 an hour, as I've shared here, and they can get away with it, I didn't know my value and worth. That boss specifically told me, how can I give you a raise for being everybody's best friend? God did. She couldn't, but God did. God figured out how to give me exactly the raise that I needed for being everyone's best friend. You know, I was reading in the bathrooms. I was doing other things. I'm always keeping a buck. I was not a stellar worker. I did my job, but I was always doing everything else. I did the potlucks. I decorated desks. I wrote books. You know, I'm a creative. I had no business being there. But she said that to me, and I love that. Sometimes your demons and your evil people, she was a demon too, will write the footnotes for you. That's a great thing when I read it back to myself that she said. God figured out how to have her not play with my head. She was a Scorpio, which ruled other people's money. She was a scammer too, and a criminal as well. And so, but those are the ones that always want to wish us to hell and tell us that we're the demons and the devils, when it's really them that are the ne'er-do-wells. Anyway, that's the full circle of that. We did a movie again today. I love a good blackout, and I apparently had something to say. Sometimes one person will be in your life just to get someone else out of the way. And in this case, Black Trouble served a purpose to expose the real destiny killer, Munchausen by proxy spiritualist. That was my handler. That was a needed lesson so that they could both be dismissed. And they both prove I will never see them again. I will never talk to them again. Isn't it crazy how you spend so much time with someone in your life, specifically with the friend, and then they are never in your life again. You never see them again. You never talk to them again because the karmic contract has come to a proper end. And you can yeet that lamp into the desert somewhere and let them go play fetch, since they wanted to play fetch with you about the simple things that they signed up and were contracted to do. Hide and go seek. Where is it at? I don't got it. What are you talking about? What do you mean by that? Now they can wonder and wander, since they like to wander confidently. Because once you complete the lesson, you are forever free. And they'll need their own map quest. And guess where they can find that? Look how God works. Inside of their authentic spirituality. If they want to do the work and they want to dedicate themselves to excavating all of the mask and all of their duplicity. It can be done. I had to do it. We've each redeemed ourselves, each and every one. But some of the people that come up against us, narcissists and crazies and pathological liars and sociopaths and serial killers and God knows what else, they don't really want to do that shadow work. They just want to put another trophy of some discombobulated and dismembered and disenfranchised person on their shelf. And we are no longer elf on the shelf, and we are no longer the energy source for their abundance and wealth. They want it, then let them dig in and let them figure it out themselves. So good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time, guys. We'll continue to evolve together.